trade with people, and travel with people around the world. Matter of fact, I think it's about time we remove the sanctions from Cuba. Why can't we travel to Cuba? Still there. It didn't work very well. But I'll tell you what, the theory behind what the founders thought and what free markets describe is that when you're free, having free trade in markets, there's a self-interest involved to stay that way and not fight each other. You know, we were fighting the communists, we were fighting the Chinese, we were fighting the Vietnamese communists, and of course that war went very poorly. We lost that war. We came home. 1 million Vietnamese died, and 60,000 Americans died. But we had to come home. And they warned us. They said there would be this horrible, horrible thing. There would be a domino effect, and the communists would take over the whole world. Well, guess what? It must be free markets that moved in that direction, left our country, because now our bankers in China. So it hasn't worked all that well. But just think now. We do trade and talk to China under imperfect situations, but just think, we're not killing each other. When I was in high school, you know, we were killing each other. A teacher of mine went off to Korea and didn't come back. It made no sense to me. But what about Vietnam? Now we trade with them. We invest over there. They come over here. Imperfect. We're imperfect. They're imperfect. But just think how much more was achieved in peace, which was never achieved in all that fighting for 20 years. The atmosphere that surrounds war and various kinds of wars, whether it's the wars overseas or the atmosphere dealing with civil liberties here at home, when you have another war that goes on against the American people that causes so much trouble and so much undermining of our civil liberties, that is that onerous war on drugs that has caused so much. Has been going on. The modern day war on drugs has occurred since the early 1970s. There was a more minimal war prior to that, but prior to 1912, there was no war on drugs, and a lot of people survived, you know, even in those years, back when they could go out and buy whatever they wanted. But the war on drugs is very, very dangerous. But the war on drugs is, matter of fact, drugs are very, very dangerous. But the war on drugs, I think, is more dangerous than the drugs themselves. Now, I do want to make a very strong point, both as a physician, as a parent, and as a grandparent. All drugs are dangerous. Illegal drugs are dangerous. The war on drugs are dangerous, but prescription drugs are very dangerous as well. But certainly, if we would follow the rules about giving more prerogatives to the states, some states now are just making token efforts to say that people who smoke marijuana for medical reasons should be allowed to. States have passed government come down, they undo this whole principle of states' rights and say that we will tell you what you can do. And our federal government has been known to arrest sick people in wheelchairs, individuals who are getting benefits from marijuana, and putting them in prison. That makes no sense whatsoever. But the real harm done by the war on drugs, and we can't dismiss the fact that drugs are very dangerous. But the real danger is the undermining of our personal civil liberties, because that is used as an excuse to invade our home without for a long time, but it's gotten much worse with this other law that was passed after 9/11, and that is called the Patriot Act. as I've said in the debates, is very unpatriotic. The Patriot Act was passed, and that bill was floating around for a long time, and that was an opportunity to pass it and get a bill out there that they wanted to pass all along. But you know, if they would have called that bill Repeal the Fourth Amendment Act, maybe it wouldn't have passed. The name on a bill going through the Congress, the name is almost always opposite of what it's going to end up doing. It's a very bad piece of legislation. So I think next year, when we get this opportunity to change some of these things, we should call it... we shouldn't call it Repeal the Patriot Act. What we should do is let's restore the Fourth Amendment Act. It is the Patriot Act that gives cover to many times. These SWAT teams have been coming into our homes and into our apartments, breaking in without proper search warrants. Now they can do it wholesale. And lo and behold, I imagine you have heard, there's on a few occasions when they actually go into the wrong homes. And they've actually killed the wrong people. They shouldn't even be doing it. But it is out of control. They're marching our homes without the proper authority. And the Fourth Amendment was supposed to guarantee that we would not be invaded by our government without the proper search warrant. Those individuals that are supposed to be protecting us our airports, but what do? They prod and poke and x-ray us without any proper permission either. So someday we can think up a better way to protect us at the airports without the TSA. Sent somebody over to the Senate, and he announced a new policy. And the new policy was that the president, under his understanding, as being the commander-in-chief, he could assassinate American citizens. Now, he explained it constitutionally. He said that he's the commander-in-chief. And if it's not prohibited in the Constitution, he's allowed to do anything he wants. I think he has it flipped around a little bit. He's supposed to be able to do only the things that he has the explicit authority to do. He can't prove his point. He's already now assassinated 3 Americans. Well, the first one, Alaki, probably a bad guy, even though they never made any charges. They never had a trial. They never said he did anything. But he probably was associated with some bad actors. He wasn't in this country, so they said, we're going to go after him. And with a drone missile, they killed him. So he had no due process. But they said that another family member was an associated force, associated with him, so therefore he was guilty too. So the next week, they assassinated him. But it turned out he was 16 years old, barbecuing in the backyard with his cousin. I don't think that's what America is supposed to be all about at all. I think we have to have more respect for civil liberties in this country. And of course, the Congress is not much better. The president's taking too much power, and the Congress encourages the president. They've done it, with the war on drugs, and also just in December, they passed a bill, the National Defense Authorization Act. And it's obvious that you know a little bit about that. I'm always impressed by that. Because I know you didn't hear about it on the evening news. That's what I'm sure of. Bill, the Congress gave the president the authority to to arrest any American citizen who is an associated force. Maybe website, attending a meeting, having emails, or whatever. Just be loosely associated with somebody, you can be charged. But arrested by the military, which violates Posse Comitatus, that's essentially been repealed. And you can be arrested, denied an attorney, denied charges, denied a trial, and put in a secret prison indefinitely. And that's what the law says. If we want to live in a republic, we can't allow this stuff to stay on the books. We gotta stand up and say, enough is enough. We need to change this and quit on doing this to us. Civil liberties. But the great thing is that there are certain groups coming together right now who are really standing up for these values. One is a group of people who have known about these views for a long time, who felt frustrated, they've sort of dropped out, discussing with both parties, and maybe never voted again, but now they're coming in and they're getting excited about a different view on government. But also, there's a young group of people now graduating into the adulthood who now, in the college age group, are enthusiastic about these views. That's what gets me excited. The vehicle has been fantastic in the 50s and the 60s when I was looking for information, trying to sort these things out. It wasn't all that easy. I mean, I certainly couldn't get it off the TV. I certainly couldn't get it from my government. I couldn't get it from my government schools. But there were just a few people who were holding together and expressing these views. But today, we don't have that handicap. Today, we have a very, very public secret weapon. That is the internet. Because, it's a powerful weapon. And they've already been working very hard on clamping down on the internet. And this Stop Online Piracy Act was a very, very bad bill. And let's be grateful that's been taken off the ballot. When the people wake up and send a message, even those individuals in Washington who are sound asleep get the message, because they were getting onto that bill wholesale. They had the votes. It was about to come to the floor. The people like you woke up and sent messages out there. So we still have enough freedom to wake this country up and change the direction, but it has to come from the people. It won't come top down. It has to come from the people, because government reflects the values of the people. So if that's what you want and you speak out and you do your job, Washington will change. My personal convictions are that the goals ought to be very, very plain. Living in a free society is what I want. I've always been convinced that even if I lived in a free society and didn't have as much wealth, I still want to live in a free society. Fortunately for us, we don't have to make that decision. The freer society, the richer the society. The bigger the middle class and the more wealth there is, the better the distribution. So we never have to be bashful when the so-called humanitarians say, well, you who believe in the free market and capitalism, you don't care about people. If you care about people, you will defend liberty, you'll defend the free markets and sound money and no special interest out of the U.S. government,